Good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday, and of course jumping in with today's live video on what to do when you're not feeling great. And I think as humans we can definitely have our ups and downs. I know I certainly do, and I've been having some of those lately as well. Hey Simone, great to have you on, hon. And it's really great, I guess, just to kind of go through some of the things that you could do, like if you're feeling a bit emotional or perhaps you're feeling a bit flat within yourself. Hey Kim, great to have you on. Hey Di, lovely to have you guys on. And if anybody's got any questions as well, as always, please jump in, pop your question below. Hey Jess, hey Christy, great to have you all, beautiful people. Hey Erica, lovely to have you all on. So like I said, if anybody's got any questions around this, please let me know, because we can brainstorm and have this be quite interactive as well, if you'd like it to be as well. So what to do, like if you're not feeling great, so obviously if we're not feeling great, there's a reason for that, and I think that's the number one thing just to keep in mind, is that our emotions are there to let us know that something's off or something's not quite right. If we're not feeling great within our physical body, it's to know that, something's off, something's not quite right. So I think the biggest thing that ends up happening, and I know I can certainly go there as well, if I'm not feeling great, is tend to beat up on myself or tend to feel like it's wrong to actually feel that way. So we can actually start to judge ourselves for our feelings, or for not being happy enough, or not being positive enough, or not being productive enough, or any of that stuff. And so if this is resonating for you, please let me know through some love hearts, or if there's some particular thoughts that come up for you around that, please also let me know as well. So the first thing is to actually get curious. So if we're not feeling great, just to really start to get curious as to, well, why is that? What is my focus, or where is my focus going? Hey Sandra, great to have you on here, darling. I know a few of you may or may not have read that blog post, but I wrote a blog post yesterday. What I'd actually realized was that I'd been in this heightened kind of fight-flight state over the last 6 weeks, because I was triggered by when I went and visited my beautiful auntie. Thank you. Yes, it is a fabulous Friday, definitely, Sandra. I went and visited my beautiful auntie back in January, and it just reminds me so much of my mum. And I came away from that week and I didn't feel quite like myself, but I couldn't kind of figure out or pinpoint what had actually happened. I was quite out of routine that particular week. Had a great time, but was just kind of out of routine. And then I felt this undercurrent of emotion kind of happening, and maybe you can relate to that. Maybe on the surface everything kind of feels like, yeah, there's no reason for you to, no supposed reason for you to be feeling the way that you are, but there's this kind of undercurrent of emotion that's maybe perhaps bubbling away, or perhaps you're just waking up and just feeling flat within yourself as well. And so I kind of had that going on. I had felt very unable to actually pull myself up and stop working. It was just like I had kept on being, it felt like avoidance to me of something else, like I was running from something else. So the more self-aware that you are with these things, the more that you can, hey Deb, great to have you on, hey Chris, the more that you can kind of dive into stuff and get greater awareness around what's actually happening. Because sometimes, like I said, there can be that undercurrent kind of going on that we actually haven't got an awareness to. And it wasn't until yesterday, and it's been an interesting week. My partner has actually moved 2.5 hours away from Wagga for work and things like that. And there was all these triggers of this grief emotion that was starting to come up. And it was just like, what is going on? Why, is this kind of all bubbling up? So I took some time yesterday to actually, instead of resisting, because this is the biggest thing that will keep us stuck in our emotions. So anytime we're judging it or making it wrong or feeling like I shouldn't be feeling feeling that way, we actually, it actually makes the energy bigger for that. So it's kind of like putting on a lid on a Coke can that's been shaken. Of course, like all that stuff's bubbling away, and the pressure is building underneath. And without taking the time to take the top off and let the contents flow out and actually understand what's actually going on, or take the time to journal, you know, I'm feeling sad because, or I'm feeling angry because, or I'm feeling scared because, then sometimes we may actually not even have the conscious awareness around what's actually going on there as well. So it makes it much more difficult to figure out what's actually happening, but also to be able to change that then as well. Hey Daryl, great to have you on. So the first process, like I said, is not to judge or make our feelings wrong. It's acknowledging our feelings and acknowledging that our feelings are there for a reason, just the same as if there's a symptom going on within our body. It's like a feather or it's a brick, like it's a when I say feather brick truck, it's letting us know, it's like getting us alert to there's a message here, there's a reason why this is showing up. And if we're not listening to that, if we continue to push past beyond that, then, you know, we're just getting further and further off track, or derailing ourselves even further with a limiting belief, with a negative thought, or with something that hasn't yet been emotionally processed. Hey Claire, great to have you on. My partner and I watched Healing the other day on Netflix, and it's a brilliant documentary, and it just goes to show, you know, there's so much disease that's actually created from suppressed emotions, and this is where, like, it was really highlighted to me, and it was kind of another trigger for me around the grief that I was experiencing with my mum, because I really emotionally associated with a lady on there that had been diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. Now, this lady was a yoga teacher. She drank loads of green smoothies. In everybody else's eyes, she was like the the poster girl for health or the token girl for health and wellness. She was probably in her 50s, maybe late 40s, early 50s. And so she was diagnosed with this stage 4 bowel cancer, and she just couldn't believe it. She was quite shocked. But then underneath it all, she realized that there'd been these emotions, there'd been these feelings kind of going on that had actually really been stored up. And a lot of our grief can be stored in the lungs as well as the large intestine. So when we do have bodily symptoms, it's really important to take note of that. If you are exhausted or fatigued, where have you been pushing yourself? Where are you not taking great care of yourself? So get clear. Why is your emotion actually there? Wow, yeah. It could be, so Erica, generally, like, blood represents, so I'm just speaking metaphysically here, so generally blood actually represents the flow of joy in our life. So because blood is so life-giving, you know, joy is so life-giving, and being able to have that energy flow, varicose veins can definitely indicate kind of being stuck in a situation that we don't like. So it's obviously, you know, that blood clot and things like that. I had varicose veins removed from my right leg a few years ago, and made a huge difference to my health and well-being. But those varicose veins had been there for a long time, and I actually know that they totally related to being stuck in a situation that I no longer wanted to be in, but continued to accept and allow that particular situation as well. So one of the things that can really come up with not feeling great within ourselves is, like, where are we not setting boundaries with other people? Where are we either being the doormat or the pleaser, or putting everybody else's needs before our own as well? And it's something I've really, I guess, struggled with over the years. I'm very empathic, so I can really feel kind of what other people are feeling, and because of that, I tend to make their needs more important, but then push down or suppress all of my needs as well. So you may or may not relate to that. It's very important to obviously fill that bucket with self-love and gratitude. It's and sometimes it can be difficult to reach for gratitude when we're in anger, or when we're in a feeling of despair, or feel so flat or so apathetic within our body, simply because we're feeling powerless around a situation, or just feeling physically like we haven't got the energy to do what we need to do as well. Perfect. I'm glad that makes sense for you, Erica. And if anybody else has kind of got some stuff going on but you're not 100% sure, Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Body, is just absolutely incredible. It's got like a lot of metaphysical things in there, or you can just Google search metaphysical meaning for such and such a symptom. And I always use that, like whether it's a cut on my finger, whether it's something going on with my knee, or anything else going on with my body. And I've spoke about this before in other videos, but just even on a base level, whatever that body function is, it generally represents what the issue is. So if our digestive system is out, what are we not assimilating? What are we not digesting easily in life? If our back is hurting, or there's symptoms like within our back, where are we not supporting ourselves or allowing others to support us or asking for that support? So all of this is like super indicative, and the more aware that you are to not only your emotions and where you're feeling, but like symptoms going on within your body, you're going to be able to heal those things much, much quicker. Our physical energy starts actually getting depleted out in our auric field before it actually starts to impact our physical body. That might sound a little bit airy-fairy, but if anybody's taken the time to look at quantum physics and how our energy field, and science has certainly proven this, that we all have an energy field that's emanated from our heart rate, which is an electric pulse. It's why we have the ECG, because it's an electrocardiogram. So it's actually reading out the electrical impulses within our body, and as with everything that has an electrical impulse, we also radiate an electrical field as well. And so as things start to come and interact with that, that's where our own electrical field can be impacted, whether that's with a negative thought or whether that's with a trauma, or perhaps something that somebody else has said, or somebody else's energy or an environmental energy can all impact that field, and that actually disrupts and disharmonizes then the energetic field, which then creates a state of disease within the body. So by tuning in more and more to our emotions and understanding why those emotions are there and what message that emotion's actually there to give us, like anger, for example, I used to make anger so wrong. My anger is the greatest telltale sign that I've, crossed a boundary. Like I've allowed a boundary to be crossed. There's something that's not sitting okay with me, but I've not spoken up about that. I've not articulated that. I've not been aware of that, or I've allowed something to happen that is actually not okay with me. So that's, if I feel like other people aren't valuing or respecting my time, generally that's because I'm not valuing or respecting my time. So everything will be a reflection externally that's showing up of a deeper belief or something that's going on internally. So if we're not feeling loved and appreciated and feeling angry or hurt because of that, where are we not taking the time to appreciate ourselves as well? Hey Lisa, great to have you on, darling. So super important to get really clear, what is the message that actually is being sent. So Google like metaphysical symptoms within the body as well. Hey Jeanette, great to have you on, darling. So make sure that you're Googling, what are the metaphysical symptoms, but also with the emotion, what is that emotion there trying to tell you? Why is it showing up for you? And particularly if it's been bubbling away under the surface, and you've been pushing it down. For me, like the grief, and I find that I do experience more grief associated with my mum when I'm actually not connecting with myself as much as I need to. So if I've not created space, if I've not created the time and the energy to check in and feel that sense of connection with myself, then it's much harder to feel that energetic connection with my mum as well, because I know when I feel fully connected with myself, there's no grief at all. And if we look at the emotional guidance scale, and quite a few of you know I speak about the emotional guidance scale a lot, simply because if we're in grief, we have pinched ourselves off from that higher state of being, and it's not that the grief is wrong or bad or anything else, it's just an indication that we've actually pinched ourselves off pretty good from allowing that natural source of energy to flow through, and it's because of a thought or because of a belief, or something that we're actually doing that's actually not serving us. So and I always use the Byron Katie process, like I often talk about questioning your thoughts, because the biggest thing with our thoughts and beliefs is that we believe them to be true. And in my experience, it's because our thoughts and beliefs, that's actually what creates the suffering. It's never the actual event. It's our thoughts and our beliefs about what meaning that we're creating around that particular situation, or about how somebody's interacted with us, or how we're taking that personally. And generally it's because we're actually not taking the time to love and appreciate and accept ourselves. Another huge thing, and this can come up definitely for A-type, achiever type personalities that, love to grow, get excited about growth, and are wanting to push and exceed and excel and everything else. That's really, really great. But if we're doing it to the detriment of our well-being and our physical wellness, that can take like a huge impact. But also the acknowledgement of how far we've come, or what we've actually achieved, even just doing that on a regular basis every day, can be so helpful as well. I think, things can start to feel a bit empty or a little bit meaningless when we feel like we're just ticking things off the list, when there's kind of feels like there's no point, we haven't actually attached a deeper spiritual meaning or a deeper spiritual purpose as to, this is a demonstration of who I am at my best self, or I'm fulfilling my potential, or whatever that might be. But quite often when we're just moving through the motions, that can burn us out quite physically as well. Or when we feel like there's so many things that we just need to or have to do, that can also feel quite just empty. It's like, what's the purpose? Like, why even do that? And it can lead to that feeling of apathetic and burnout and everything else that's kind of going on there as well. So I hope that's been super helpful for you guys. So number one, hey Jan, great to have you on, darling. Number one is really understanding why you're feeling flat, to acknowledge first of all the emotion or the feeling that you've actually got, and why that's actually showing up for you. So what is the message that's actually there? So it's not about judging it, it's not about making it wrong, it's not about putting on the happy face, and I even got a message this morning around that. It's not to put on the bright bubbly persona and pretend that everything's okay, whilst underneath there's this undercurrent of feeling sad, feeling flat, feeling lost, feeling all of those things. We are so human, and when we allow ourselves to experience the full range of emotions, then it can be greater guidance for ourselves in just tweaking things, even just that little bit. Maybe it's about taking a 10-minute walk, or just doing something for ourselves as well. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Erica. So really, get clear, what's the deeper message there? Is it that you need to draw boundaries with people? Is it that you need to acknowledge something within yourself? Is it that you've just not actually attached a deeper meaning or purpose to what you're actually doing each day? So is it a demonstration of who that you choose to be? I know, even cleaning house, or doing dishes, or preparing food, or any of that stuff can sometimes feel like a monotonous task. But when I come back to, I'm doing this because I want to be a great role model for my kids, or I'm doing this because I want them to experience a healthy food, I'm doing this because this is the best demonstration of being the best version of me that I possibly can be. That brings new energy, that brings emotional fuel to be able to sustain and do those things, rather than feeling like everybody doesn't appreciate me, or what I do doesn't really matter, or just feeling really, really overwhelmed by our situation or circumstance. So get clear, what's the meaning, what's the message, and then what do you need to shift or change? One of the best quotes I read yesterday, and I think I've put it in, hey Kim, great to have you on, darling, is be responsible for loving your job, loving your life, loving your relationships, loving what you do. And if you don't love them, it's our responsibility to change that situation. So I just think that that's so clear, because everything really at the end of the day is a choice in how we're actually perceiving that, how we're actually feeling about that. And like I said, if the emotions there aren't resourceful, or aren't feeling so great, get clear, take some time to journal, take some time to connect with yourself and understand what is it that's actually really going on here. Am I not speaking up? Am I not, speaking my own boundaries? Not from a place of needing to justify or passive aggressive. I used to be like that when I was so scared about speaking up, but the more and more I speak up and are able to articulate my needs, that builds confidence, and it builds it in a way that can create great conversations and great communication, as opposed to justifying, defending, criticizing, feeling right or wrong, feeling hurt or feeling not heard. And it allows us to also create greater well, of course that's great, win-win situations as well. So take in that message that perhaps you need to articulate to other people, and also take that time to understand what is going on for other people, remembering when we operate from a super full bucket of feeling amazing, take the time to get clear what it is that really lights us up, what's important for us. Then we can go on and we can really make a difference in other people's lives as well. Hey Evelyn, great to have you on, darling. So if you've only just jumped on, maybe you want to jump back to the start and have a re-listen to it all. If anybody's got any questions at all about that, please, as always, send me a PM or pop a comment below. I'm certainly here to help you in your journey, and otherwise have an amazing day. If you've got some of those symptoms, if you've got some of those messages emotionally, take time to understand what that is, and most of all, just be kind and compassionate with ourselves. The more kindness and compassion we can bring to ourselves, and curiousness as to wonder what's going on here, instead of judging ourselves for being a particular way or beating ourselves up for not being the way that we feel like we should be. And that will go a long way in not only helping you feel better, but also adding more kindness and compassion to the world as well. Have a great day, guys. Lots of love to you all. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you being here. Have a great day. Bye.